Hello, welcome to Carnivore Africa. My name is Innocent, and today I'm going to share with you my reasons why I chose to embrace the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet is this kind of diet where you eat meat, where you eat animals and animal products, salt and water, and nothing else. In 2024, my 11-year-old daughter was diagnosed with asthma. Now, since my late father also had asthma, when this happened, I was not surprised. I thought that, this runs in the family. However, I realized that these attacks would only happen when my daughter eats foods. They are not related to any coldness or pollen or dust. And I wondered. When I took her to the clinic after the first attack, they managed her with a salbutamol nebulizer, and then she was also given a salbutamol inhaler. However, this inhaler was not working properly. She would use it as she was instructed, but she would still get attacks. And every time she would get any attack, when she would use the inhaler, it really wouldn't work well. We still had to make visits almost every evening, take her for nebulizing. And the clinic so got used to us that every evening they would find when they are already prepared for us. So due to the inefficiency of this inhaler, I was worried. I thought maybe my daughter one day would suffocate to death, gasp for breath. Maybe when I was far away or something would happen, and I was so concerned. I started looking for answers here and there, and I came to hear about a certain diet, the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet was such a strange concept, and I even wondered whether someone can survive because it was unheard of. I had never heard in my life of someone who survives by eating meat and nothing else. So this was so shocking, so surprising to me. And even when I was going through the dental school, we were taught that once people are eating diets which are heavy in meat, then they get health issues. So for the most part, I did not really believe the carnivore coaches. I did not. However, when I read through the comments were too convincing. People would write and tell about how they had all these health conditions, and then they ate meat and animal fat, and then they would get better. And besides, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I decided to give it a shot. However, I made up my mind and I said, if my daughter is going to do this carnivore diet, then I'm going to do it alongside her, so that I get to fully understand what she's going through. These days, what was happening to my daughter, a lot was happening. For example, sometimes she would collapse, hit her head on the wall or on the floor, and then she spends about half a day without speaking a word. And then the next time she would speak, she would not speak properly, she would not pronounce words properly. Sometimes she would get scared and even run away or hide from me. This was very concerning. So the first time we gave her meat, I was surprised to see that evening she didn't get any asthmatic attack. And as she continued eating meat, these asthmatic attacks gradually kept on reducing. Sometimes she would get breakthrough attacks after cheating. We later on came to realize that sometimes she would go to the shops and then she buys biscuits and all sorts of things, drink sodas, and those things would make her get attacks. But then we didn't know. We would actually wonder why all this is happening to her. But anyway, she started getting better and better the more she kept on eating this meat diet. All this time she had stopped attending school. By the time she resumed school, she had been away from school for about 1 year and 1 term. Now, as I speak, um, it has been about 1 year since she started the carnivore diet and she resumed school. She's now back at school and she's studying normally. Let me give you a little bit of history. When my daughter was born, she was born underweight. I think she was a little above 2 kilograms. So after being born, she fasted for about a whole month. And by fasting, I mean she was not getting any breast milk. We later on came to realize that her mother did not have breast milk. But we didn't know at first because we had no experience at all. So we didn't know that there was no breast milk. But those days she was not thriving, she was always crying, always miserly, not just standing there and looking pathetic. So when we came to realize there's no milk in the breasts, we immediately put her on cow's milk. So she started taking cow's milk and then immediately she started gaining weight and getting to look healthier each day that passes by. According to my observations, she remained weak up the age of 11. You could look at her and her bones still looked weak, the way she would hold things, the way she would, when you look at her, you would see that the bones are not as strong as they should be. From around the age of 7, she started complaining of abdominal pain. Abdominal pain was on and off. That one took about 2 to 3 years. She would complain, I'm having stomachache, and would medicate her. She would get better. Next time she complains, that was always the cycle. One of the days when I took her to the hospital, they chose to do a test for H. pylori because they were suspecting that she was having peptic ulcers. So the test came out positive, and this was a stool test. So after this positive test, they gave her something called a pyro kit. That's a combination of drugs which they give to people who are having peptic ulcers. She took this combination, and at the end of it, after taking all these medicines, she still complained of abdominal pain. So later on, I changed and went and saw another doctor, and they again redid the test. They found it positive. They gave her another pyro kit, but this time they changed some drugs. Even after taking the second dose of the pyro kit, she was still complaining of abdominal pain. And whenever this pain came, only injections would help her. There's no tablet which would help her, only injections. And this time, usually I used to give her diclofenac injection. And I did this against the advice of the doctors because her doctor said that if if you inject her with the diclofenac when she has peptic ulcers, the condition gets worse. But I didn't know what to do because I didn't know what else to do because I would not stand seeing my daughter in pain day in and day out. And when I realized that actually diclofenac can help, I would find ways of giving her this injection and she would get better. One day, her school called me. They told me but my daughter was not fine. I rushed. And when I reached there, that's when I found her gasping for breath. I had never seen her like this for the whole of her life. In conclusion, when doctors started referring me to specialists, I knew that this cannot be good. They were giving me prescriptions which were not helping, and I knew that I was in for spending millions on drugs which were not going to help. After some time, when I started connecting dots, I came up with a theory that my daughter was suffering from an autoimmune disease, and I thought that this one must be celiac disease. When I connect dots over time, I came up with a theory that my daughter actually developed an autoimmune disease, celiac disease to be specific. This explained why she had abdominal pain, why the drugs could not work, why she was anemic, and why she was unable to absorb nutrients anyway. Dr. Peter Osborne's video on no grain, no pain was very instrumental when I was trying to connect these dots. In this video, he explains why in celiac disease people begin reacting to foods which they never reacted to. And this was the same thing which was happening to my daughter. In this video, he explains why glutens and milk contribute towards autoimmune disease, especially celiac disease, and these two exhibit something called molecular mimicry. Much as my daughter ate a lot of chapatis, which are wheat products, she also took lots of cow's milk, and I have strong reasons to suspect that all this started with this milk which she was taking. Today my daughter looks healthier and strong. Once you look at her, you will get amazed. She grew taller, she looks energetic, she plays, she rides a bicycle, she skips a rope. She does so many things. It is really amazing what the carnivore diet can do. In my view, she has probably made about 90% recovery from this celiac disease. When I did the carnivore diet alongside my daughter, I experienced a number of good and positive changes in my life. What I experienced after starting the carnivore diet is you can find it in one of my videos, and I encourage you to check it out. And after experiencing this, I said to myself, in the first place, I have been eating plants all along in my life, and all these strange conditions have been coming to me. When I started the carnivore diet, these conditions went away. Why should I go back to plants? So this is the reason why I chose to stick to and embrace the carnivore diet. Thank you.